what's the latest update with this?
Yeah, so essentially, we're looking for greater transparency through discovery process within the bankruptcy case. This will allow victims who are the beneficiaries of the trust to understand more about how the trust is structured, what is being done to further their interests of getting just settlements through the trust, and to what degree their interests are being pursued by those who are associated with the trust, and victims' attorneys, the trustees, and others associated with the case.
Mhm. And this is the second time that a motion like this has been filed, correct?
So I've recently filed two motions for discovery. The first motion was for discovery related specifically to the actions done by the trustee or directed by the trustee regarding various activities, including lobbying activities, including activities that they were engaged in through litigation, activities that they were engaged in through the California Public Utilities Commission and elsewhere, to understand what the incentive structures were, to understand what the costs were, so that we can make sure that victims' interests are being furthered by their actions. Part of what this is really to ensure that we have more transparency, because transparency breeds accountability, and then accountability breeds greater funds in the pockets of victims. So it's really important that we provide this transparency so that it can lead to just outcomes for victims associated with this case. My second motion really focused on the role of JAMS. JAMS is a corporation that provides what they deem as neutral arbitration for many cases, many high profile corporate bankruptcy cases and other cases.
It sounds like just having an answer kind of either way, if there are certain elements that they're not able to disclose, just being, again, transparent about that. But again, just having an answer either way.
Absolutely. And look, there's legitimate reasons for certain information to be withheld. To whatever extent it's going to indicate to the market about when the trust might sell shares to be able to monetize the stock that's going to go into the trust, of course, they should withhold that information because we don't want to make that information public. But other than that, there really isn't other information that will really prejudice the case or really tip the hands of others. And so all of the other information really should be forthcoming. If there's a legitimate reason to be able to withhold something or redact something, then they need to put that forward as to why those redactions are there. And simply providing agreements where all the pertinent information is redacted does not give us the information we need. There is no reason that we shouldn't have information about who's benefiting from the actions of the trust. We need to have that information. It has been stated over and over again that victims are their first priority, that we are the beneficiaries of the trust, and therefore, as beneficiaries, we deserve this information. If someone that was, managing your money and decided not to disclose how they were managing it or the actions that they were taking, of course you would demand information. This is our trust. This is our money, and we need to make sure that it's being managed well.
Anyone that has been following this case or may tune in tonight or see this story, what should they know about the stage that this case is in currently and what we're moving toward?
Right. So what victims need to understand is that while the trust is reporting out on determinations, that the value of those determinations is very unknown, and the degree to which they have a path forward to really remedy the trust shortfall is really unknown. And so it behooves everyone to be able to get a greater understanding about what the trust is doing on our behalf, to demand more transparency so that we understand how to support their efforts or how to recalibrate their efforts in the best interests of victims and the public. And so it's my hope that over the next few weeks that we'll be able to get at that information and that victims will have greater clarity about how they should engage. And a lot of this is just, even from a pure budgeting standpoint. So there are victims who, like me, are waiting to understand how much money they'll have to rebuild their home. Should we be looking to rebuild now or should we wait a year? Should we, what resources are we going to have to both put food on the table for our kids and to put a roof over their head through rebuilding a house? And these are, kitchen table issues that are very dependent upon the disposition of this fire victim trust. And I unfortunately have not seen a real understanding of that and how important this is. And while many parties are gaining financial benefits from our trust, this is the state of victims, trying to figure out how to budget for the years ahead and how to rebuild after really tragic losses. So this period is really key to understand how we're going to be made whole and if we're going to be made whole through this case.